Hello, and welcome to another episode of Fresh Off the Set. I'm Laura Murray.
And I'm David Osmond. We got a great episode for you today.
All right, I'm loving this. So, David, I actually did not know what this term was until this podcast. Do you know what main character energy is?
Now, it's when I hear the phrase main character energy, I think I know exactly what it is immediately and who in my life we're talking about, because there's certain, it means that you're the narcissist, the focus, you are the star of the show, the protagonist in your life, and everybody else is just a supplemental extra in your movie,
what it
right?
Is. It's basically you first and everyone else comes second. And I mean, today on the show, Dr. Krystal Conner, she talks on this episode about, it's important to look after yourself, but if you're doing it at the risk of others, that's when main character energy can become toxic.
Yeah. Absolutely. The main character of your life, that's great. But I think social media has played a factor into this too, this main character energy of we all have our own TV show, our own station. We think everybody's watching 24/7. For me, starring me. Aren't I awesome?
The me show. Da-da-da.
I know exactly. Enough about me. What about you? What do you think of me? It's just always me. But I think that there's a fine balance between that. Yes, you need to be able to focus on you, what your needs are. Definitely don't, undercredit yourself either. But I think that there is a healthy balance between that and realizing that we're all in the same lifeboat together. And we all need each other, need to support each other. In fact, I just did this charity event this weekend. We were talking about this fact alone. There was something my grandma told me before she passed. And she said, David, it's amazing what we can accomplish when we don't care who gets the credit. I think that's amazing
beautiful.
to say, you know what, if we just come together and support each other, yes, we all need our moments, but don't suck the air out of the room. Another analogy that I use is mosquitoes and bees. I feel, I'll be completely honest with you, I think in my phone I have a few mosquitoes. And what that means is they just suck the life. When they're calling, it's like, I might screen this call because I know they need something. It's about them. But the bee still needs stuff, needs that nectar, but it leaves the pollen. It's a give and take relationship, and that's what's healthy. So yes, be the star of your show, but tune into someone else's station every now and then.
Well, I mean, when it comes to theater and you're talking about shows and TV, everyone has a role, and it's really important to know that everyone plays an important part, and really, what is life if you're doing it all alone?
Exactly. We need each other. So this discussion, I think, is timely, it's needed, and we hope that you enjoy it.
All right, let's take a listen.
I am so thrilled to introduce our guest of the day today on our podcast. It is Dr. Krystal Conner, Master Life Coach. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to talk to you.
Of course, we're so excited to talk with you. Okay, so I am seeing everywhere this main character energy thing that people are saying, people are putting on Instagram, everywhere. We're going to get to that. But first of all, would you mind telling us about your background and what you do?
Yes. So I am a life coach. I work with female entrepreneurs, but my background is a little convoluted. I went to school to be a pharmacist. So I actually have a background. I have my doctorate in pharmacy, and I practiced that for several years, and then got to the point where I was like, this is not it. There has to be more. Like, I did all of the things everybody said I needed to do to feel happy and fulfilled, and I just don't feel that. And so I got a coach of my own and felt so good throughout the process. And I just realized that it was such a great need. After I went through working with a life coach, I was like, oh, all my friends need this. All the women that I know, like everybody needs a life coach. And so then I just decided to be one.
Well, good for you. And if people aren't familiar, people are listening going, I'm not sure what a life coach is. How do you describe what that is?
It's funny because I was just like that. I was like, I don't know what a life coach is, but it sounds really dumb. And I don't think I need that. Like, I'm an adult and I'm very smart and I should be able to figure out my own life, until I couldn't. So life coaches really help you focus, figure out what it is that you want to do, and then hold you accountable to doing that. So it's working through your mindset. It's working through limiting blocks that we have. It's working through thoughts that that have turned into beliefs because you believed it so long about what's possible for you. So I like to think of life coaches as they're just dream makers, possibility makers. They just help you achieve everything that is, possible for you.
Ooh, I feel like we could all use that. That's something we definitely can all use in our life. Well, and moving forward to this main character energy that we're seeing everywhere, will you define that for us? What is this?
Yes. Main character energy is all about focusing on you, your dreams, putting yourself first, just all about you. And it really is they're, and we'll get into it. They're good and bad parts of it. It really is about becoming your best self. You are the main character in the movie, and it's just about building confidence and being assertive and appreciative and just doing what you were put on the earth to do.
That's good. That's really good. Okay, let's get into maybe the good and bad. What is the downside, do you think, of main character energy?
The downside that I see with main character energy is that when you're the main character, that means everybody else is your supporting cast. And so that means sometimes it pushes you towards selfishness because you're just thinking about you. And you're thinking, I'm the main character, so everything revolves around me. And we know that's not the way the world works. So there is that downside to it, that it could, lend itself to becoming selfish.
Right. There's that balance of taking care of ourselves, but still making sure that we're helping out others in our life because it's a team, right?
Exactly.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. Why can it be so toxic, do you think, if we were just living in this mindset of main character energy? How can that get to be like a toxic place?
I think it can be toxic again when it starts to become a selfishness, and when it becomes something that prevents you from seeing what's going on with you, what areas you need to grow, what areas you need to improve. When your focus is so heavily on you and protecting your energy and your space that you're not open to looking at ways that you could grow, that you could improve, that you could help other people, I think then it becomes very toxic.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good point. There's a balance of, of course, our mental health, taking care of ourselves, but not becoming completely consumed with just thinking of ourselves, right?
Exactly.
How can we use this main character energy to create a good life on the flip side?
Yeah, I think there are a couple ways. I think there are a lot of good things about main character energy. And I think if you can use it, one, in a way that helps you learn how to find the joy in what seems like the mundane. So if I'm the main character in my own movie and I'm looking at everyday life and I'm finding these moments that I can make it just 1% better. I had a coach that used to talk about how can you make things 1% better? If I'm like cleaning the kitchen, what makes that 1% better? And if you think about the cumulative effect of making everything in your life every day 1% better, what that looks like over a year, then it's life changing, right? Yeah. And as the main character in your own movie, it's like, okay, well, how do I make this better? How do I make this seemingly mundane sitting in the carpool picking my kids up better?
Because that can be mundane. You're right.
It can absolutely be mundane. Another way I think is learning how to take negatives and turn that into a positive. So if you think about the protagonist in your favorite like feel good movie or the hero in your favorite movie, that's what they do. They take what seems like, unsurmountable odds or, the worst of the worst situations, and they turn it into something really meaningful and purposeful. And I think if you can look at yourself in the main character and all of the good, the bad, the ugly in your life, and you can make it mean something, then that makes you more powerful and stronger and confident, and it makes you really resilient. And it also positions you to help other people be able to see, that they can turn their life from negative to positive. And it allows you to then show up in somebody else's movie as a supporting cast member and help build them up.
Oh, that's good. That's really good. And I wanted to expand a little bit more on that. You said the 1%, if we could, all of us, just accelerate it to 1% in each, area of our lives. What specifically are we talking about? Like which areas of our life?
I think you can do this in every area of your life. In fact, I think we should do it in every area of our life. So it's even in, in business, in your career, it's like, what would make this 1% better today for me, right? We all get so caught up in the day-to-day rat race where it just feels like I'm just existing. And what would it look like to actually live and enjoy life? And it's small things. It doesn't have to be, 1% better would be, a shopping spree. It could be 1% better could be, Starbucks actually having what I need and not being sold out of my favorite scone, right? Like it's the small things. And I think if you can learn to look at the small things, and it has this cumulative effect that just makes life so much better. And learning how to find that and find the joy in things is a game changer.
That's a really good point. If you find a bunch of little things, if you're just up in the game 1% and all the little things, imagine what that can do when you look at it as a whole. That's pretty powerful.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. I think a lot of times we're looking for the big moments, and then, we're in this day-to-day mundane life and we're looking for these big moments, and it can be a letdown because every day is not going to have big moments, but every day has small moments.
That's true. That's very true. Talking about boundaries, what's the boundary between self-love and selfishness? We talked about this a little bit earlier with, finding that right line so it doesn't take over. But is there a boundary there?
I think there's definitely a boundary, and I'm all about self-love. But again, it can begin to lean into selfishness and I think the boundary is when you start to use self-love to escape life from the ups and downs of life. So you're using self-love as an excuse to, I'm protecting my energy, so I'm not going to do this thing for you, right? It's using it in a way that allows you to not have to deal with life's difficulties. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to the difference, you really have to look at the intention behind your action. And that's going to tell you, is this self-love or is this selfishness and me just trying to escape life and the challenges and the difficulties and dealing with other people?
That's a good point. Okay, my next question is, why is it okay? Let's talk about being a dangerous woman. We use this term, dangerous woman. Why is it okay to be that?
Yes, I love the term, of course, because it's the name of my podcast. But I think that it's so important for, women to allow themselves to be dangerous, not in the way that's going to end you up like in prison.
Right.
On the news. Not
big difference.
That version of dangerous. There's a big difference. Dangerous really means you're fully aligned with who you were put on the planet to be, and you're doing the things that you were called to do. So you're fulfilling that. And I think that as a society and as women in general, we've been conditioned to believe generation after generation that, okay, this is what makes you a good woman. When you follow the rules and when you put everybody else first and when you wait your turn, right, until the kids are grown up or until, this happens. And I think what makes it okay to be dangerous is that we're all put here for a certain purpose, and fulfilling that should be the main priority. And fulfilling that is what makes the world better. So as long as we're sitting around not fulfilling why we were put here, we're not being impactful as we could be. We're not being able to change our families and our communities and the world. And so I think being dangerous is a good thing.
I agree. I really like this. I love this term. It's a good thing. And what about specifically, what are some good characteristics of a dangerous woman?
So many good characteristics. The first being that you're in alignment with who you're supposed to be. And that's a lot of coach speak. I know, like, we love these terms like alignment and purpose and we love all of that. But at the end of the day, you're feeling confident about who you are and what you were meant to do. You know how to set boundaries. You're not caught up in people pleasing. Your relationships are healthy and mutually beneficial. And when they're not, you know how to set them straight. And I think more importantly than all of that, a dangerous woman is somebody who allows all of her feelings. She doesn't feel like she has to be strong for society just because, there's all this talk about independent women and all that. She embraces vulnerability and allows herself to feel all of her emotions so that she can experience the full experience of life, the good, the bad, the ugly. And she's not afraid to do that.
That's so good. I think that's so good for us, especially here in Utah, because I'm a mom. We have a lot of families here, a lot of parenting, and you can get lost in that and making sure that everybody else is okay. And that's, that's good. But at the same time, don't forget about yourself.
Absolutely. And I think especially because I'm a mom as well, I think especially for moms and especially for moms with daughters, when you think about putting your life on hold and your children seeing that and saying, oh, it's okay, for me to put my life on hold for all of these other things. There's so much beauty in our children seeing us live out what's possible for us so that then they'll go do the same thing.
That's powerful. I mean, that's very true. We're setting examples for them and we're wanting to be the best version of ourselves. Speaking of that, in your opinion, how can we be the highest version of ourselves?
I think that really comes down to intention, and it takes intentionality, because again, we get really caught up, especially as parents and as adults and doing the whole adulting thing where you have to work and pay bills and all of that stuff. It's very easy to lose the intention to actually live life. And so it's making a conscious effort to just be better every day, not better than the person beside you, no better than who you were yesterday. And again, it's the little things. It's looking for opportunities to grow. It's not trying to escape difficulty, because the only reason we don't want to go through challenge is because of a feeling. We know it's going to feel bad. And if you can learn to experience all of your feelings and not try to escape them, your life becomes so full and so purposeful. Doesn't mean you're not going to have times where it feels really bad,
right?
But you don't try to run from that. And so it's like, what would you do if you weren't afraid? Well, what would you do if you weren't afraid to be afraid, right? It's like, that's what being the highest version of you is. It's like intentionally going out to be better every single day.
That's so good. We can all be better. You're inspiring and you're motivating, and thank you so much for chatting with us today. Yes, of course. And I like to end these interviews with a fast five. So quick questions that I'm going to ask you. And I'm just going to go. Are you ready?
All right. I'm ready.
Okay. Your least favorite food?
Anything with cilantro or, dare I say, cinnamon.
Okay. Those are two completely different, but very valid. Yeah. Okay. On the opposite end of that, what's the favorite thing that you love to eat? What's your favorite?
I love pizza.
Pizza. Oh, you can't go
wrong with pizza.
Date.
Yeah, I'm a very sweet date. I love pizza.
Yes. That's really good. What never fails to make you laugh?
I would say my children never fail to make me laugh, never fail to make me cry too, but also never fail to make me laugh.
That's a really good point. Yes, so true. Okay, your favorite holiday?
Christmas.
And your favorite place to travel?
Anywhere that has a beach and moderate temperatures. So I like parts of Florida. I like the Caribbean, as long as it's not 200 degrees.
That's so good. I agree. That's too hot. That's too hot. You're incredible, Dr. Conner. We've had so much fun chatting with you. And if people want to follow you, where can we go?
You can find me on all social media platforms at Dr. Krystal Conner. And you can find me on all streaming platforms. My podcast is How to Be a Dangerous Woman. And my website, KrystalConner.com.
Thank you for your inspiration and for chatting with us today. We appreciate you so much.
Oh, thank you so much.
And thank you for listening to another episode of Fresh Off the Set. Please rate, review, and subscribe, and we will see you next week. Made it to the end. If you want to continue to freshen up your day, you can watch us on Fresh Living every weekday on CBS Channel 2 in Utah at 1 o'clock. You can also watch us on our YouTube channel, KUTV Fresh Living, and follow us on social media. We will see you next week.